This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. And we have with us via Zoom Coleman Goode for the Workers Center for Racial Justice. How are you today, Coleman?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Very, very well. We are so glad to have you on Wizard. Could you tell us a bit about the status of your work for the tipped workers to get a better wage for them?
Yes. So we are trying to get our bill passed out of the Senate. It is called, I'll get the number right. I want to say it correctly. Excuse me, but it's the one for wage legislation. It is Senate Bill 3776 and House Bill 5345. We are in the process of getting it. We're trying to get it out of the Labor Committee, which is going to be, we're going to be in a committee hearing on Tuesday. So that's why we're going to actually be in Springfield to lobby to try to meet with our legislators who are on that committee to get them to agree and to sign on either as co-sponsors to the legislation so that we can get tip workers' wages increased.
Well, give us a little history about the tip workers and their wage. How long have they been underpaid? Not have not actually paid a minimum wage, and what happened transpired in Chicago, and how this progressed to Illinois legislation.
Yeah, so tip workers have always been underpaid. They've always been not paid their worth. I think there was a time when tip workers were making $2.30. That was the wage that they were making. I think it got up to now the state is $7.80, but that's even not enough to survive, especially if you are working in a rural area where you're not in a big city, so you're not getting a lot of tips. So you're living on that wage, and so we in Chicago did some great work last year, meeting with restaurants, talking to tip workers, and asking their opinion, and really kind of hearing that they wanted to make more money, and especially Black women, brown women were the ones that are really hit by this. They are the ones that are told always, no, wait, we'll get you next time, because they did raise I think that was when they raised the minimum wage to $15. They didn't do that for tip workers, so tip workers were left behind. So that's why we came back to feel like it's time to get tip workers their raise, because when they raised the minimum wage, tip workers were not a part of that.
So in that when they raised the minimum wage, they actually had a provision in there that tip workers were not covered, right?
Yes. So yet again, they're left out, out of this process, and so we just feel like it's too late. They've been waiting for too long, and we think it's time for tip workers to start making their livable wage. And so after we passed it out of the city of Chicago, we immediately started thinking about where do we go from here. The coalition, the One Fair Wage Coalition, we decided to get together, and we decided that we're going to go for the entire state and engage the entire state and try to get tip workers everywhere a better wage.
When the tipped workers do not get their minimum wage, how much are they behind in the income that they need to survive?
Yeah, well, their job is supposed to pay them whatever they're owed, so they do still get a minimum wage technically, but that never really happens. So when you're only making $7.80, that's half of what minimum wage would be. So you're already behind, and even $15 an hour isn't really enough anymore. So it just means that's why people have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. I know my mom was a tip worker, and she worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table. So it really puts people behind and makes them have to make very difficult decisions.
Just in case our listeners don't understand, when they make up the difference, do they make up the $7 difference, or do they make up the $15 difference?
Just the $7.
Yeah. So that is not enough to pay rent and buy food and pay for your kids' education and school supplies and life's necessities.
And it's just not right.
Mhm. So when did you start lobbying the city council to pay, for the tip workers minimum wage to get the minimum wage up to $15? 15 how
Yeah,
much? 15, $80?
$15. Yes,
15.
15. We started shortly after our new mayor was elected. He said he was on board, and we felt like we had a very progressive city council, and we felt like it was a really important time to kind of strike now. And so that was when we started. So probably like last April, when we started to have these meetings and work with the mayor's office, and things really kind of sped up over the summer, and it culminated in October, and we passed it.
Was it hard to get the ordinance out of committee?
It was, because there are a lot of businesses that are afraid. They use the scare tactics that, they're going to go out of business. They can't afford this. But we have businesses that are already doing it. There are businesses in Chicago that have already been doing this, and so there is a successful business model. And so we just have to really kind of get in front of the misinformation that was being out there, that a lot of people were being told their tips are going to be taken away if they get minimum wage, and we wanted to let people know that no, you're getting tips on top of your minimum wage.
Mhm. And so when the people get the tips on top of their minimum wage, how much on average are they making? Are they making the same as their untipped coworkers, or are they able to make more?
It depends on where you are. It depends on sometimes they make more money. Sometimes their tips just bring them to minimum wage.
Mhm.
It brings them to that level. And so it all depends. There are some people who work downtown Chicago in these really expensive restaurants who make a lot of money, and they make way more than minimum wage. But there are other people who are in small towns or in other areas of the city who don't work at those really high-end restaurants who still are depending on tips, and so they should be able to live and have access to a good, affordable, a good, healthy life.
I read that some workers, because they are tipped workers, they're exploited. So when
Hmm
after they do, they get the minimum wage, do you hear stories back about how they're less exploited now, or are the customers so used to exploiting them, they're still exploiting them?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think there are some businesses are try to get around. So they try to take how do I put this? Um, there is a wage theft that happens sometimes,
Mhm.
and that's an exploitation. We know that happens especially in our immigrant community, because they don't want to speak up. Um, and then we also see restaurants adding service fees. So they add a service fee on top of what is the bill, and so that can sometimes confuse tippers, thinking that that's a that's going to go to the wait staff, but it doesn't. It goes straight to the restaurant. And so tippers, the waiters have to like let people know that that's not for me. That's actually a service fee that I don't get. So they have to make sure that they say that. I've been at restaurants where in DC where this already went into effect, and they would say that just so you know that money doesn't go to me.
I think it's the U.S. Department of Labor. They have a unit that addresses wage theft, investigating wage theft, and then trying to educate the employers, and then
Mhm.
finally, if worst comes to worst, fining them.
hmm
How are tipped workers uh, accessing this resource to to address wage theft?
I don't have the specifics, but I know we give our workers that information.
Mhm.
We also send them to organizations that have lawyers that can help them, like with like Arise Chicago.
Mhm.
Their organization they have lawyers, and so they can help walk through that process.
Mhm.
But we just try to make sure that our workers know that information and know those rights, and have that and be able to walk through that.
Oh, yeah, well, numbers are not that necessary, but so you do help the workers that are experiencing wage theft to go through that process to report, and then do you know if some of them do they report back to you? Do they are they reimbursed some of the wages that they lost? Because I think that's part of the compensation if the complaint is investigated, substantiated, and the employer is responsible for compensating the employees.
I've seen it in the past. I've seen that people have gotten compensated. I've also seen it get uglier where the employers didn't want to they just didn't want to budge, and so it had to go to a higher level of like legality.
Mhm.
But usually workers get what they usually get help.
Mhm. And do workers have to face retaliation sometimes for complaining to address wage theft?
And that's also something as their rights, they are not supposed to have retaliation. If they do
Mhm.
experience retaliation, they can um, they can also document that and send that to the state of Illinois to Kwame Raoul, the state's attorney general.
Mhm.
His office can help you with that as well.
Oh,
Any type of retaliation.
so there are two levels, right? The federal level would help, and then also the state level would help as well.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. What about the immigrants that maybe they are not undocumented immigrants? Are you able to help? How difficult is it to help them achieve that minimum wage and to address wage theft? If they, let's say, if they do complain about wage theft, do they have to worry about their immigration status?
Our agency doesn't work a lot with that population, but we do work with some other organizations that do,
Uh-huh.
and they do walk them through that process,
Mhm.
because they have like lawyers that actually know that immigration. Um,
What are
um,
the names of of the organizations in case there are some listeners who could pass on the information to the undocumented employees?
yeah, Arise Chicago is really good.
Mhm. Okay.
Oh, shoot. And the Raise the Floor Coalition.
Raise the floor. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, now let's get back to discussing the state bills. Where are they at now? Are they still in committee or are they
Yes.
out of? They are still in committee.
They are still in the House Labor Committee, so we are trying to get that out this week because it is deadline week. So we got to get it out of the committees this week, or they die. Oh, they don't die. They possibly don't. They don't get to go to the House floor. We have to find other routes of getting them passed. But so this is a very important week. So we're going to be in Springfield on Tuesday and Wednesday. Our organization's going to be down there meeting, and One Fair Wage will be there as well Tuesday for the hearing at 2 o'clock.
I did see a text from you about submitting a witness slip. But so if our listeners want to help, how do they submit a witness slip? And do they go to the legislators or do they go to the committee? Could you clarify?
Yeah, so they would go to the ILGA website, ilga.gov, the Illinois.gov website, and let me pull it up because that way I can walk you through how,
Okay.
and they would go over to My Legislation, and it would show, oh, they have to log in.
Well, it's just citizens are able to create an account, right? They're
Yes,
everybody is eligible to create an
e-
account. Mhm.
everybody's eligible to create an account. And so they would go and create an account, and then they would find whatever committee they're looking for. Like if it was appropriations, we go to the committee hearing. Excuse me,
And what is the committee that the tipped workers bill is in?
the House Labor Committee.
House Labor Committee.
Yes.
And
Excuse
while
me.
you're Yeah, that's okay. While you're getting that information, do you know also who sponsored the legislation?
It is Linda Hernandez, Lisa
Linda,
Hernandez, Lisa Hernandez,
Lisa Hernandez. Okay. And what
and
district is she in from what part of the state?
I can pull it up right now.
Okay,
She's
awesome.
here in Chicago.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Her district is, excuse me, she's in the second district.
Okay, thank you.
Um, and that is here in Chicago. Her office is located on 6117 West Cermak Road,
Mm,
Cicero, Illinois. Um, and in the Senate, it is sponsored by, excuse me, um, Lakeisha Collins, and her district is, she's the Senate district of the 5th District.
mm.
And her office is 2165 South Millard Avenue in Chicago.
South Miller?
Yes,
Okay.
Millard,
Oh,
Millard.
okay. Avenue. Okay, thank you. What about the phone numbers, or is it better for listeners to call them, or is it better to submit a witness slip?
A witness slip really, really helps.
Okay.
And it's actually easier to just share the link than to
Oh,
really kind of
yeah,
than
that's
to,
okay. You could share the link with me later, email me back, and then I'll be sure to share the link on the description of this video of our interview.
yeah, it's easier to get it that way.
Okay.
That way you don't have to log in. If people don't want to log in, some people don't like putting their information.
Uh-huh.
Because I get it. Our information is valuable. So just to log in and that witness slip would pop up, and they would fill it out, their name, address, the city. If they don't want, if they're not with an organization, they can just put NA for under the agency title. Under title, they don't, if they're just not, if they're just doing it for themselves, they don't have to put a title, they can put NA. And then they're going to put under representation, they're going to put, they're representing themselves. They're obviously a proponent, which means they support the bill. So we want them to say proponent.
Mhm.
And then we want them to click on record of appearance only. And that's it.
Record of
They would-
appearance, that means that they're just submitting digitally, that they're not going to appear in person.
Nope, they're just saying that they yeah, they're in support of it. They're not going any type of statement or going to be speaking or anything like that.
What is the name of the bill?
I'm sorry.
The name of the tip to work this bill, so that maybe, I don't know if they would need the name of the bill. You gave me the number. Do they also have a name or just a number?
Just the number.
Okay.
No, yeah.
State Illinois 7356 and House 5345.
Yes, one fair wage, the one fair wage bill.
One fair wage. One fair
Yes.
wage. Thank you. How hard was it to lobby to get this the ball rolling? Did you have to find, was it hard to find a sponsor? Why did you choose these legislators in the House and the Senate to sponsor the bill?
It was through a group discussion with our coalition members. We discussed it, and we just felt like they were the strongest people to take the bill, and we
Uh-huh.
felt that they could really move it.
Do they have a background in working with the labor?
In working with who?
Labor.
Labor. Yes, they did. Hold on.
That's okay.
I think I had to get my remote. I mean, my plug, because my computer was going to die on you.
Okay. Yeah, that happens.
I've done that. I've been doing an interview on Zoom, and next thing I know, my computer dies. It was with Telemundo, and it was so embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Yeah. So Lakeisha Collins, her committee assignments were financial institutions, human rights, and revenue. So we felt like that would be really good to work with
Mhm.
her. And excuse me, Lisa Hernandez, her committees were human rights, immigration, tax credits, and labor and commerce. She's on the labor and commerce committee as well. So that was why we picked her.
Did you have to bring a lot of people to show strength in numbers, or did
Yes.
mhm,
Yes, it is hard, and it's also hard because shift workers are working. They don't have the time to take off
exactly.
work to go down, and so it's hard. But we do have some great people that come down and speak and tell their story, and support, and we really appreciate them.
Then what about some that cannot appear? Are they able to call the offices and submit their story that way? Speaking of
Yes,
someone?
yes. Yes, we've had people they've written their story out and we've read it in committees,
Mhm.
hearings, but also, sending a letter to your state rep or your state senator is really, can be really strong and show that, A, you're a constituent, so you live in their district, but also this is something that is really, you're passionate about.
So the constituents could email them either by the form or maybe access their email.
Yes, and that should be on their websites. They should have those.
Mhm. How long was it before, yeah, when you started the work and then till the bill got written up and submitted to the committee? How long how long did you have to work on this?
It happened within months.
Mhm.
When we passed, in Chicago, we passed the ordinance in October,
Mhm.
and we started having conversations shortly after that. So it was submitted to the state LRB in, I think, late January, early February.
Mhm. And usually, is it what other bills are you up against? Is there a good chance that it will come out of committee with enough witness slips? Let's say if there are not enough witness slips, does that mean that it could very well be sitting in committee?
It could, and we do need more people to submit their witness slips in support of it,
Mhm.
because our enemy has been doing a better job of getting people to write in and against it. So we really
And,
do need.
and by your enemy, you're speaking of which organizations and who do they represent?
The National Restaurant Association,
Mhm.
and some chambers of commerce as well in other
Mhm.
parts of the state.
Mhm. And of course the last one I didn't get. Some chambers of commerce
Yeah,
and
some
of
chambers
course,
of commerce and restaurants, some restaurant owners.
oh, mhm. So they have they're lobbying hard at this. Are they working with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce? Does the U.S. Chamber of Commerce see this bill as a threat?
Um, Not that I've heard. And I don't know if they're working. I don't know if they're working together. I know the National Restaurant Association is definitely working with the Illinois Restaurant Association.
Mhm. And what about the other states? Is there a national movement? Do you see this kind of legislation happening in other states? And if so, do you know which ones?
Yeah. So Ohio, either they just passed or they are going to
Mhm.
pass it. Who else? I know, like I said, DC just last year they became a one fair wage. Um, Let me look at. Also, I want to make sure I'm getting the right information. Um, those are the big ones in California.
California too. California is always kind of more progressive.
Yeah,
Uh,
they just raised their tip workers or their workers to like $20 an hour now. They're making
oh,
$20 an hour as of
uh,
today.
the tip workers or even like the everybody,
Every Everyone,
oh,
fast food
oh,
workers, everyone. Yeah.
oh. There was mentioned that tip workers are always getting uh, the they're having a very hard time making a living because of
Mm,
ingrained racism historically. Could you
mhm.
explain about that?
Yeah. So tip work came out of slavery when the slaves were freed. They were allowed to work, but they were not, the people didn't want to pay them, so they brought this over chips over from Europe and found a way to basically pay people pennies for work. Well, so the Pullman group, they actually organized and got a better wage for themselves, but they didn't get it for women. So they only got a better wage for themselves. So this is just tip working and having people work on tips is like that last phase of like slavery in the Jim Crow era. It is a way of keeping people in bondage and keeping people from, making a livable wage. And they're doing a lot of hard work. But they also have to deal with, sexual assault. They are told, women are touched. They are said. They have things that are said to them. There's just so many other things that happen that women have to go through working as tip workers.
Mhm. And what is the status now? Are women in the same on the same level as other tip workers, or are they getting even less? They're getting maybe more abuse than men tip workers? Is that what you mean?
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. And we've had tip workers tell us that too. It's just the things they have to like smile and they're told to smile more, Are you just told to do all these things just to get a tip. And it's just it's really kind of it's uncomfortable to hear.
Like I think I saw something about they have to wear shorter skirts or something, wear makeup, and then they get better
Yeah.
tips.
Yes, yes, which is ridiculous. To have to deal with that.
What about unions? How are you working with any unions at all? And if so, in what way?
Any who? Unions?
Unions, yes.
So we're not. I know that I think SEIU signed on. Let me see. Hold on before I say that. We have yes, SEIU she signed on as a supporter of our legislation. Um, the American Federation of Labor. Um, I'm trying to look at any other unions. That's the only one so far.
Do you know if they are offering any financial support? Sometimes when the unions are endorsing some
Mhm.
legislation or a candidate, they would also provide some financial support. Is there any in this?
I can't speak to that because that's part of the work that I don't deal with. So
Okay.
I can't
Mhm.
speak to the money.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But at least we know that they have signed on and they agree, they support it.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your next steps? So, what is the timeline? So our listeners could know, and then what should we expect?
So we are the Workers Centers for Racial Justice and One for Wage. We're going to be going down to Springfield. We're leaving on Tuesday tomorrow. We're going to be in Springfield tomorrow and Wednesday. The House Labor Committee is having their hearing on this bill. We will be in the room. We're going to have testimony. That's going to be at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. So we need witness slips to be filled out as many as possible before 2 o'clock on Tuesday.
Okay. And what about if some people are very ambitious and they want to go with you? Do you still have room for people to join you? Because maybe physical bodies over there might help the cause.
Yes, yes. There is a bus leaving from the One Fair Wage office on Tuesday,
From where?
from the One Fair Wage office
Okay. Mm-hmm.
on Wednesday morning. So they'll go up Wednesday morning. And I can get you Nataki is the person who would be in charge of that. And I can get you her email and if you want to share that. But it's Nataki Rhodes. She's the person who's putting that together.
Okay. Okay. And of course, send us the link later about for the our listeners to uh, sign a witness slip, and
Mhm.
if they want to learn more or maybe contact you for more information, where should our listeners go?
They can contact me at Coleman Coleman at Center for Racial Justice.org.
Spell
Or
out
they,
the Center for Racial Justice, please, for them.
at CENTER, the number 4, RACIAL.org.
Racial
And
justice, right? Racial justice too, right? Justice?
yes,
Okay, okay, .org. Okay. And
so and also they can go to center, CENTER, number 4, RACIALJUSTICE.org. They can go there, and that leads you to our website that has all the information about who we are and what we do,
okay,
and how to stay in contact with us.
how long has the center been working and been in existence?
For over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Mhm.
And I should have asked this earlier, but what other issues have you worked on before?
So the ban the box issue. Also, we're working on the Safer Community Act right now as well.
Oh,
Safer Community Act deals with formerly incarcerated people, giving them vouchers so that they can, when they get out of prison, they can have a voucher that they can take to an employer that would help pay their salary. It also incentivizes businesses to hire formerly incarcerated people by giving them $5,000 tax breaks.
so these are current too. So if our listeners were to go to the website, they could also find out about these programs.
Yes, yes. So we're doing that. Well, we also done work with the child tax credit in the past. And also we're working on the child tax credit this year too, trying to get it raised again. And our Clean State Initiative. Excuse me.
What was the last one? The child, what you're trying to get raised with concerning the child, what? The tax credit? Tax credit?
Yeah, yes, the child tax credit. Yes.
Okay. So that is with when filing federal income tax, right? So to increase it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, that's another conversation
Yes.
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 Thank you so much, Coleman Goode, for joining us on WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and good luck on all your work.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.